Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. We are on Mishna Vav, on the second chapter of Mishna Kiddushin. HaMekadesh shete nashim b'shaveh pruta. Someone who betroths two women with something only worth a pruta. So each woman only receives half a pruta, which is below the minimum. Or isha achat b'fachot mishaveh pruta, or one woman with less than a pruta. Af al pi sheshalach sivlonot la'achar mikan, even though later on he sent the girl some bridal gifts worth more than a pruta. Ena mekudeshet, she is not considered married. The original gift did not affect kiddushin. She's not married. Shemachmat kiddushin harishonim shalach. Because the reason why the later gifts don't count is because we assume he sent them on account of the original kiddushin. He thought the kiddushin was valid, but really it wasn't. V'chen katan shekidesh, the same applies to a minor whose kiddushin wouldn't be valid if he betrothed a woman and sent her bridal gifts afterwards. After he became an adult, it wouldn't work. Hamekadesh isha ubita, someone betrothed to a woman and her daughter. That's not allowed. So he gave one peruta, each one a peruta at the same time. Or isha bachota keachat, or he betrothed to a woman and her sister. Enan mekudashot, they are not considered married, because once you marry one, you cannot marry the relative, their ervaz. So therefore, neither takes effect at that time. It happened that there was once 5 women, and among those 5 women there were 2 sisters. Someone gathered a basket of figs, and he was going to use this to marry. Imagine today you go to a woman and say, marry me with figs. And these figs belonged to the women. The figs grew on trees that they owned. But the figs were of Shemitah, which means that they were ownerless, and that's what allowed the guy to take the figs and use them to marry them. And he said, behold, you are betrothed to me with this basket of figs. One of the women accepted it on behalf of all the 5. That the 2 sisters in that group are not married, because a man cannot be married to 2 sisters. The other ones are fine. If a kohen marries a woman with a portion that he received from an offering, from a korban, ben kodesh kadashim, ben kadashim kalim, whether that's from the most holy offerings or kadashim kalim, or lesser holiness, ena mekudeshet, the woman is not considered married, because the kohen does not own these portions of the korban. It's divine property, and Hashem is just giving permission for the kohen to eat it, but it's not his to use to marry a woman. B'ma'aser sheni, if a man marries a woman using fruit from ma'aser sheni, that's a second tithing that is done twice in the period of 7 years. Ben shogeg ben mezid, whether he did it unknowingly or knowingly, meaning whether or not the woman knows it was ma'aser sheni or not. Lo kidesh, he has not betrothed this woman. Maaser Sheni is also considered like divine property, and therefore cannot be used for any kiddushin. Divra Rabbi Meir, these are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Beshogeg lo kidesh. If she accepted the Maaser Sheni, Beshogeg, unknowingly, she didn't know it was Maaser Sheni, in that case, she's not married, because Maaser has certain restrictions, and we assume that had she known it was Maaser Sheni, she wouldn't have accepted it. And that's why the kiddushin is not valid. B'mezid kidesh, but Rabbi Yehuda says, if she accepted it knowingly, then the kiddushin is valid, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, a person does own ma'aser sheni. That's his shita. Similar when it comes to hekdesh. Hekdesh is money or items that are donated for the upkeep of the Bet HaMikdash. So b'mezid kidesh, if he gave it to her knowingly, that is, they both knew it was hekdesh, then the marriage is good. Even though a person is not allowed to use hekdesh for his own purposes, if he does use it, then the item loses its holiness, and he can use it to marry. Ubeshogeg, but if he gave it to her unknowingly, meaning that either the man or the woman didn't know that it was hekdesh, lo kidesh, he has not betrothed her. The reason is because had they known, we assume that they wouldn't have gone through using that item. Diva Rabbi Meir, that's the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says the opposite. If he gave it to her unknowingly, neither of them didn't knew that. We don't know if it was hekdesh. Then kidesh, it's betrothal. The betrothal is fine because the item loses holiness. It becomes an ordinary object. But bemezid lo kidesh. But if he gave it to him if he gave it to her knowingly, then the kiddushin is not valid because deliberately taking something of holiness does not remove the holiness that is innate in it, and therefore it remains a property of the Beit HaMikdash and cannot be used for kiddushin. Mishnah Tet, hamkadesh be'olah. If someone uses orla fruit that was grown within the first 3 years that the tree was planted, it's asur to eat or have any benefit from that fruit. Bekilei kerem, or he married a girl with a kilaim of a vineyard, which is produce that was from a mixture of a vine and from other plants. Or beshor haniskal, or you used a ox to marry the girl, but that ox was meant to be killed because it killed another person. Or egla arufa, or with an egla arufa is a calf that's supposed to be decapitated as a result of a person who was murdered, and we don't really know who killed him, so we kill an ox instead. Or bitzipore metzorah, or he used the birds that a metzorah brings as purification to purify himself. Or he used ubisar nazir, the hair of a nazir that gets cut off after 30 days. Or Peter Hamor, he used a firstborn male donkey. All these things are usually prohibited to have benefit from. That's the common denominator. Basar bechalav, or he took a mixture of meat and milk that were cooked together, also not allowed to have any benefit from that. Or vechulin shenishchatu ba'azara, or he took an ordinary animal that was slaughtered in the temple courtyard. You're not allowed to slaughter an animal that is not considered kadosh hekdesh in the courtyard. If all of these things that he took, or one of these things that is not allowed, and he went to go marry this girl with it, ena mekudeshet, the woman is not betrothed, and these things have no value officially because you can't use them for that. Mecharan, however, if someone sold any of these items, so he took the basar bechalav and he sold it, V'kidesh bidmehen, he took money and married a woman with that money that he sold with the basar b'chalav or the eglarufa, mekudeshet. In that situation, she is considered married, even though it's forbidden. You should know to have benefit from it. You're not allowed to make money hana'ah. You can't have hana'ah from basar b'chalav. But nevertheless, if he does sell them, he's allowed to benefit from the money he receives. So the money could be used for kiddushin. Final Mishnah Yud. Hamkadesh bitrumot. If someone marries a woman using terumah, uve ma'asrot, or with ma'aser, or b'matanot, or the gifts that are given to the kohen from animals, uvme hatat, or the spring water that's mixed with the ashes of the paraduma, ube'efer hatat, or the ashes of the paraduma. All these cases, harezu mekudeshet, the woman is betrothed, va'afilu Yisrael, and even a Yisrael who is not a kohen or a Levi, who doesn't own terumah, who doesn't own ma'aser, he doesn't get these gifts to a kohen from an animal, he can also use them to marry a woman. He can receive them, for example, if he's related or he has a relative who was a kohen and Levi, and he just happened to come in his hand some of these gifts of the kohanim. He can use them to marry another woman, and that concludes the second chapter of Masechet Kiddushin.